Welcome to the next episode. Man, it's a time. We're having it.
Oh yeah,
blast off, baby.
Just welcome. This is gonna be an episode, and it's gonna have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Dude, no way. You gotta say something. We exist. We're here.
Yeah,
and we're gonna be here for a little bit more.
Well, if they haven't listened before, now they're hooked. So
now
they're locked.
We're real people. We're not AI. We're not bots. We're humans. Well, we're talking about an album today that had 21.1 million certified copies, claims to have 30 million, which is why it's on our list. But before we even get into that, gentlemen, how are we doing?
Been better.
Yeah.
Been worse.
Been
That's pretty glonky.
Pretty glonky? That's
pretty
good.
glonky.
Yeah,
I think Steven changes that word every time. Like, ever since he started saying it a few episodes ago, it's slowly changed.
Do you know where I get that from? Pretty glonky?
Where do you get that from? Yes.
There's like a video where this guy interviews this guy who's super high.
Oh, I'm pretty glonky.
He's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, I'm pretty glonky.
It's great. It needs to go in a time capsule at some point in a vault. Like, we need to hold on to that forever.
We should do a whole episode just on that video. Pretend it's an album.
We should pretend that it's an album.
Speaking of icebreakers, I have a question for y'all.
Ooh.
Hit it.
If you had to pick for the rest of your life, you could only have one flavor ice pop, what would it be? We'll start with Jason.
I see where you're going here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Does anybody know nobody knows the flavors of these things. I want the light,
the
blue
colors.
one.
I guess let's go colors. Yeah,
not like super light, but it's that like almost like blue raspberry kind of blue. That might be the flavor of it. Who knows?
Pretty sure
that blue. I think it's a real solid flavor.
Yeah.
Like a Blue's Clues blue.
Yeah,
Steven, what about
like
you?
a Blue's Clues blue. Like this blue. Like the blue on my shirt right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For those of you watching,
Banana.
Steven.
You're a yellow guy?
Yeah. Do they even have a banana freeze pop? Those are like the push-up ones, right? Where you cut off the tip and then you
gotta go to Amazon for those.
That's crazy.
Crazy. If there is a yellow one, I like the yellow one because I used to have banana pops, these little dual popsicles with 2 sticks in them.
You just
those were
I like
my
those.
childhood.
I like those.
With the old were they called Gator Pops?
Kind of like.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe it was just me. Anyways, Jarrett, what about you? What color ice pop was your favorite?
Man, I gotta say, purple is a strong flavor. Like,
it is.
That's
I would say so.
You see that popsicle truck coming, and man, they got purple. So
how much can purple lift? How strong of a flavor? What's its pinch?
You gotta say like 30 grams.
Wow.
That's
just the sugar content.
That's a lot. Well, I'm with Jarrett on this. I loved the purple flavor. It's a strong flavor.
Real question is, how did we have 0 reds in here? I feel like red is like the standard. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I liked it as a kid, but now I'm like, anything that could have red dye number 40, call me crunchy, but I just don't do that anymore.
You're crunchy, man.
Call me crunchy.
What are you, a Cheeto?
I crunch.
It is time to talk Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits. We hope that you've listened to it as well. We listened to it. We all, before talking about this, seem to have a general consensus on how we feel, and it seems like we all agree. But
number one,
we'll find out. We'll find out.
Tell us what went into this album.
Yeah, so this, obviously, Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits, released May 13th, 1985, mid-'80s. This is their 5th album. And so currently, band members at this time are the leader, Mark Knopfler, plays guitars, lead vocals, and you may have heard that name before. He's done a lot of different soundtracks, like The Princess Bride. Anybody?
What?
Really?
So,
that's sick.
Yeah, I didn't know that until we got to this album. But yeah, so he does the soundtrack for that, and has also done some like bluegrass stuff. If you ask my father about that, he'll know a thing or two.
He does
So
know
we
a
got
thing or
Mark
two.
Knopfler, John Illsley on bass and vocals, Alan Clark on keyboards, Guy Fletcher also on keyboards and does vocals. And then this is interesting. So they had a drummer, Terry Williams, but his only contribution to this album is the intro and the fills on Money for Nothing.
Wow.
And they got a session drummer, Omar Hakim, to do the rest of the drums on the album.
That's
Wow.
wild.
A little crazy. And then producers for this one are Mark Knopfler, and then also Neil Dorsman, who has done stuff for Kiss, Bruce Springsteen, Carly Simon, Bob Dylan, Barbra Streisand, Sting, and pretty much those artists in Dire Straits. So
cool.
he's been around, but he's back on this album. He did their previous album before this one, has worked with Knopfler before, and they are recording this during like a 4-month period. That's how long this took to record. So November 2nd, 1984, day one they start, and finish the very last day of March 1985 at, I'm going to say AAR, Air Montserrat, which is in Salem in the Caribbean. Did majority of the recording there, and then apparently some of the tapes got damaged, so they had to do some re-recording and add some stuff, some overdubs in New York City at Power Station.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Jarrett. That's great. Before jumping into the track listing, I wanted to do something that I don't know if we've really dug into before, and go through some of the awards that this album won.
Ooh.
yeah,
It from 1986 to 2006, it won 4 awards as an album, and the 2006 one's interesting. I'll explain. But Dorfman won for Brothers in Arms at the Grammys in 1986 for Best Engineered Album of a Non-Classical Album, and it won Best Selling International Album and Best British Album at the Brit Awards in 1987. But the 2005 Grammys introduced what was called the Best Immersive Album Award, Best Immersive Audio Album, and in 2006, the Brothers in Arms 20th Anniversary Edition won Best Surround Sound Album. And in addition to the album, Money for Nothing, one of the singles we'll get into, won 3 different awards, including MTV's Video of the Year, which, man, what a video. But, Steven, talk to us more about the songs, the tracks on this album.
You want me to go through the track listing?
Please do.
If you run us through that track listing, that'd be quite
list us through the
sweet.
tracks.
Okie dokie. We have So Far Away, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, Your Latest Trick, Why Worry, Ride Across the River, The Man's Too Strong, One World, and the title track, Brothers in Arms.
All right.
Yep, the first 4 of those are 4 of the singles, and then Brothers in Arms is another single on this album. Gentlemen, what did we notice about this album?
It was kind of long, and
It was quite a
I mean,
time.
it wasn't long, but it was long for what it was. Like,
Yeah.
at least a few of these songs are like 4 minutes too long.
Yeah.
They like keep on going with the song, but there's like not much
I think I
new that
mentioned
they're
this
changing.
a while ago. There was one album, I think it was on the wall. There was one song that I was like, if you just jump to anywhere in the song, you would not know that you missed any of the song.
Yep.
There's like
That was
5
Dangerous.
songs. Was it Dangerous? Oh yeah, it was Dangerous.
It was
definitely
Dangerous.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
Dangerous.
yeah.
Because I was like, no, Wall has a lot of like variations and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's like
Yeah.
5 songs in this one that if you skipped 5 minutes of it, you would never know. You would have no
Yeah.
idea. It's like
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
Mulaney in that bit where he's like, there's a dip in the middle, and it just keeps going. You don't really know where it ends. It's the same thing. Like it just kind of, there's not a ton of like volume discrepancies. Like
No.
you're kind of rocking right where you're
Yeah.
at. We could have done, like we were saying,
sorry,
like
finish.
the production levels, sweet, like is really cool, and we'll get to more
Yeah.
of that in a bit. But yeah, it's a long It's a long journey for a
It's a long
short
album.
album.
Yeah, it's interesting
Yeah.
because if you got the original vinyl versus the original CD and cassette when it came out in 1985, the CD and cassette, and Spotify has that version, is 55 minutes. And then the original vinyl, single vinyl album, is 46 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer 46 minutes of this album.
I feel like we could all be a little okay with if we got like an American Idol version of each song that was just a
Yeah.
minute and a half,
Like
Yeah.
a ringtone,
like
maybe.
verse,
The,
chorus, verse, bridge, chorus. Call it a day. You know.
The radio edits would be highly suggested.
Yeah.
Do we have any lyrical thoughts? I didn't. It was kind of all over the place for me. I don't have any deep thoughts on the lyrics, but maybe somebody else does.
So, in my opinion, this album, it started not so good and got a little bit better toward the end,
Okay.
especially in terms of lyrics. Like "So Far Away" is he's kind of repeating the same lyrics over and over. Oh man, "So Far Away" that I really that's such a mediocre song. It feels weird even to have an opinion about it. It's it's just such a down the middle. Not yeah, I didn't like it, but the last song, "Brothers in Arms," I feel like had some neat lyrics.
Yeah.
Like there's one, "Now the sun's gone to hell, the moon's riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die." It sort of went pretty deep with some of the lyrics, and there's a lot of war themes in that too, as well as in what was the other one? "Right Across the River."
Yeah.
That one I feel like had something maybe to do with Vietnam, just because there were parts of it that had jungle vibes,
Yeah.
and it's 1985, so they probably have like their parents or something were maybe involved in that, but yeah, as far as lyrics goes, there's
a lot of
not too much.
repetition.
Yeah, there's a lot of repetition.
Yeah.
Which is neat in places. I felt like it went a little overboard.
For sure.
Along with the length of the musical portions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one to me, it feels a little, as far as like lyrical structure, is a little Abbey Roadish, in the sense that like the first 5 songs are like either love or life or just something dealing with those, and then the second half of the album, other than One World, it's about war, about soldiers and fighting, and battles and things like that. So Right Across the River, Man's Too Strong, Brothers in Arms, all about war. And apparently, close in saying Vietnam War, Brothers in Arms, the song itself, is written about the Falklands War that happened in 1982 between Argentina and the UK, which seems like a really interesting like situation. And there's different videos and stuff you can read and watch about that. But Argentina versus UK is a really interesting matchup. But
And I think one
essentially
we
that's what.
often don't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, name some big wars, back in the 1900s. Argentina and UK, that's top of my list.
This is the first I'm hearing of this war.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a very British album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, like, nutshell version of the war is Argentina invades the Falklands, which are it's not a colony, it's like the next step up from colony of the UK. And the UK is like,
Colony.
no. And so then they have a war. But essentially,
That's how it goes.
Yeah. Brothers in Arms, the song, is specifically dealing with that, but then obviously Right Across the River, Man's Too Strong are also dealing with war, fighting, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, was there anything in particular you guys noticed musically about this album?
Have we already said that it's too long?
Yeah.
No, please say it again. No, I think all of these songs, like I think you notice a lot in Money for Nothing. Like you get about 3 minutes in, and then it doesn't change. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens in the first like 3 minutes of Money for Nothing, and then it gets into its groove, and then it just rides. And honestly, like I would enjoy it, I think, in person.
Yeah.
But for a recorded album, it feels a little just like, you did your thing, and you're not putting. There is variation in those portions. Like you can listen real closely and hear some little different things, but it's not enough to like notice, or like not enough to like make you feel a different way. You just kind of ride in this pocket, which is kind of cool for background music, but I don't think that was their goal.
Yeah.
If it was, I think this album would have placed in a much different place.
Yeah. There were some songs, maybe just one that I'm thinking of, that it was kind of justified being 8 minutes and just letting it ride. For let's see, what is it called? Oh, Your Latest Trick. That had like a saxophone going in it, and I liked the brass saxophone sound, and it was the last few minutes of that song was like a saxophone solo, and it wasn't just like repeating.
Yeah.
But I think So Far Away was another one that was like 8 minutes, and then Money for Nothing didn't need to be 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yes, we had So Far Away, 5 minute, 12 seconds. Money for Nothing, 8 minutes, 25 seconds. Walk of Life, 4 minutes, 12 seconds, respectable.
Yeah.
And then Your Latest Trick, 6.5. Why Worry, 8.5. And it's just like, what?
Why Worry
Yeah.
could have been way shorter.
This is certainly one of those albums I was like, as I'm listening through, sometimes I'm not even looking at my phone and I'm looking for the song change, and you get to Money for Nothing. You even So Far Away, I'm like, when?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, listener, that like any of this sounds bad. It's just repetitive and long. And to the point where it's like this may have been the inspiration for elevator music. Who knows? Like it's great sounding, but you just listen to it on repeat and you're expecting to be led somewhere. Like maybe there's a guitar solo or like some kind of musical, like next step, and it never happens.
It's like the Bluey soundtrack. The Bluey theme song is an absolute wonderful song.
Cook.
But if you listen to the 1 hour loop of the Bluey theme song,
You're gonna
by
hate
about
it.
the fourth Bluey theme song, you're done for. You ain't want to cook with it anymore. It has that same vibe. It's like, yeah, I was rocking with it for the first 3 times. Now, by the time you went through your chord progression the 18th time, and you haven't said anything, I'm looking for something. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking for something new. And though you're probably the best at playing that chord progression, like I don't think there's anybody better than Dire Straits playing those chord progressions, but they could have done more. It just left you wanting more.
And especially, I think it was this song, Right Across the River. Toward the end, it kept hinting at a guitar solo, or maybe it was Why Worry. But it's kept like
Probably
there were bits of like licks and riffs that were going on, but then it would go away, and then just go back to the boring same progression. And I really liked the guitar solo parts and the riffs that were going on, but they just didn't give me any more. They just like kept on like teasing, but never actually continued with it.
Yeah. One thing that I saw.
Mark Knopfler's. Sorry, I was going to say real quick. Mark Knopfler's guitar playing is phenomenal.
Yes. It's so good.
And like his finger method, like if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look them up live and you'll know what I'm talking about. But the way he plays guitar is like really interesting and nuanced to himself. And like that shouldn't be understated.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds like we are really harping on like how long it is, but that's not to say it's not um, beautiful in its own way, and it's like anything less simply because it's too long. Like it is really nice musically speaking, but
Yeah.
just that runtime, it weighs down on you. So good.
Yeah,
Go
it
ahead.
should have been more guitar. We're not definitely not criticizing the guitar.
No,
Yeah.
bring it out.
Well, and the risk that we run as 20-something-year-old guys talking about albums that sold 30 million is they're not from our era.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've run into that. They're not, it's not the first album that wasn't for us.
Yeah.
So there's a reason that it has 30 million projected, claimed sells. Anyways, something that I found, there's this article by Jim Baviglia, and most of what I've found that was an article. Yeah, you've
You
read this,
don't
obviously.
shut up, Jared. You know Jim Baviglia.
I know a Jim.
But one
I
of
know
the
that
things
name.
that he said, and I've yet to find something that I was like, I totally disagree. Was he said when writing about Brothers in Arms, or what's striking about Brothers in Arms is just how much Knopfler manages to convey in a minimum of words. Great, that I agree with, and there's very few lyrical lines, so nothing wrong there. With startling efficiency, he inhabits the soul of a wounded soldier who muses on his surroundings and waxes philosophical as his life ebbs out. None of this is efficient.
Yeah.
The words maybe, because he doesn't say a whole lot, but the story, the music itself is just not efficient.
Just because
think
it's concise or not, just because it's short and there's not a lot of words doesn't mean it's efficient. You can say words that are, really quick, but say nothing, and they do no work.
Well, I think, like we've been saying, in this 55-minute album that has 23 minutes too much, that's me cutting even more than what the vinyl did. I think you could say everything he said. I think you could be efficient. I think it could have been more efficient.
This could have been an email.
Exactly.
Email my heart.
This
Exactly.
could have been an email.
Now,
That's
that being said, I have a slight musical
Title of
need.
this episode.
A little bit of a musical nudity we got going on here.
Okay.
Brothers in Arms was one of the first albums recorded using the Sony 24-track digital tape machine.
Really?
This was a big switchover from all the analog recording methods. It was still done on different types of tape, but to move on to the idea of a digital tape machine, this was a really big shift. Which I think pushes a lot towards why they got that 2006 with the anniversary, the immersiveness that they were able to create using digital tape. Also, a slight probability of why they needed to re-record some things later. But one little neat, if I can find this quote again, it was a quote from Dorsman. He said, one of the things... wait, where is it? I can't find the quote. I'll find it somewhere else. Oh, here it is. It was. I got it. It was a good sounding studio talking about this Air Studios down in the Caribbean. But he said, but the main room itself was nothing more to write home about. The sound of that studio was the desk, and so it really shows that the studio they were in, they were like, it's fine. It didn't have anything weird. But the reason that the sound of this album comes the way it does is because of the work on the desk and the use of this new recording style and all that they were able to do with editing. There's also, if you don't find this on too many albums, but if you even just go on the Wikipedia page about this album, you can read about the recording, and they go into like pretty heavy detail of exactly like every mic that was used, every guitar, every amp. That sometimes gets lost. People just don't take good records of what was being used to record. But there's some neat things about, like even in Money for Nothing, they were trying to find a nice microphone placement, and they had like one normal setup, but then they also had one that was like pointed straight at the floor. And because of that, that's why you get this really kind of like not echoey, but like full sounded tone coming from that guitar in Money for Nothing. That like as soon as you hear that first intro, bow, 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 you're like,
Yeah,
oh
that was
snap,
pretty dope.
we are here. And so there's a lot of recording needities. So I have less album like things that like really stood out about this album. But if you want to listen to an album that's just really well produced, really well recorded, and you want to hear some like just neat ways of recording different instruments, this album has a whole lot to say. In the way that we do digital recording even today, the way that we mic things, the way that we think about miking, there's a lot of neat stuff there. So.
Yeah. And I'll say you, especially when you hear the beginning of "So Far Away," you can tell it's digitally recorded. It's just like so clean and crisp and clear. Like you can't get that from analog tape.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's also, it's not really for better or worse. It's just my opinion. Um, but one of the contributing factors I think to this being on this list is the fact that like this is around the time that CD is becoming a real thing, and not just like in the backwater towns of wherever. But this is like one of the first CDs that ever sold 1 million copies purely on CD. And so when
Wow.
people are switching over from records and tape to CDs, it's like, well, I don't know how many options you had, but this was up there. And so it's like, well, I have a new CD player, and this is the only CD that's around, so I might as well get it.
Oh man, that's kind of bad news for like the actual music of this album. Like it didn't matter what the music was. It was like, oh, it's just a CD.
Oh my gosh,
So,
everybody's got that U2 album. Oh wow, it was put on everybody's iPod.
And I think another thing too is, well, I'll save it for later, but
Well,
that's
now
my
it's
thought on
later.
the CD part.
I mean, now's the time, Jared. Unless you want
I think this will work better in highlights actually.
All
Okay,
right.
well, I think we're in highlights.
It is time to,
highlight it.
what do we think about one song? Maybe two. You can say your least favorite, but let's talk about our favorites. We'll start with you, Jason.
Wait, are we doing faves, least faves before highlights? We're doing
Oh, I'm so
highlights
sorry. Do
first.
highlights first. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
looking
so
at the
as I was
script, reading
saying-
the next line.
Now that we're later, Jared,
Yeah.
give us the later.
Highlight for me. This is not my most favorite. This is just a highlight, but "Money for Nothing," and to how this relates to what I was just saying. Like "Money for Nothing," that music video was the very first music video for MTV UK. Like that's when the channel started. This was the video that launched it. Who's playing "Walk of Life" in the background?
I was trying to play it through my headphones, and I was like, why does it sound so echoey? It's because it's playing out my phone.
Oh my gosh.
Phones.
Oh goodness!
Trying to remember a melody line out here.
Amazing.
But yeah, "Money for Nothing" has that music video come out. It's on repeat. It just keeps playing heavy rotation on MTV, and obviously references MTV in the song. So great way to get clout in the 80s is to mention like the main channel that you want your song to be played on. So, and also has a little cameo from Sting from The Police.
That's freaking awesome.
I did not know that.
Love me some Sting.
Any other highlights for you guys? I mean, I know the intro to "Money for Nothing" at the front end of Kingsman.
When the
Before I knew
guitar riff comes in.
Yeah. Before I knew what this album was, before I knew what the song was, before I knew who Dire Straits was, I heard that in theaters and I was like, "Whoa, this rocks!" And it's another
pretty
example for me
immersive.
of like something that is so good and like well done, well arranged, well played, well engineered. That I'm just learning like, oh, I know what this is. I've like heard this before and other people have deemed this really good. Now I know where it comes from.
Yeah. Oh, and real quick, Steven. So Sting's the one that does "I want my MTV." and the backing vocals on the song.
Amazing.
I like that
Which
part.
which he takes the melody from "Don't Stand So Close to Me" by the Police.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Another highlight from Right Across the River, pan flute.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That was some pretty good pan flute as far
That
as
was some pretty good
pan
pan
fluting goes. I mean,
I'll say,
Yeah.
man.
yeah. And then the saxophone in the latest or your latest trick was dope.
Yes.
Was that definitely a highlight for me? This isn't a highlight, more of a comment that I wanted to just throw out there. But "Why Worry" reminded me of like video game peaceful walking around music.
Yeah. Or the
I
dentist.
love it.
Yeah, it's like half
the
lullaby,
dentist.
half Harvest Moon walking around music.
Yeah. Yeah. I forget where I wrote it down. But "Why Worry," like that little like piano synth riff right before we start singing. I don't know why. I just get that like fairy, like dentist feeling, like when you're getting the cavity like filled and they give
Yeah.
you that Novocaine
That-
and you're
that
like
trauma?
high. That's
Yeah.
like the same feeling I get.
I mean, some of that might be what they were going for.
That was actually the inspiration for the song.
Yeah.
He was high on Novocaine. He's like, "Give me a pen."
Gotta write this down. Gotta remember this for later.
Yeah.
People are gonna want to hear this.
And then my last highlight is just the lyrics in "Brothers in Arms."
Yeah.
They're really good. And that's all I got.
Nice.
Great. Well, we'll start with Jason. What is your
right.
favorite, least favorite?
My favorite, least favorite. My least favorites. My
favorite
favorite
worst
one of
one.
the. My favorite worst one. Not to rain on anybody's parade, but I think my least favorite's "Why Worry." It just never went anywhere for me. Just kind of was doing its thing. But my favorite, on the other hand, was probably. I like the first 3 minutes of "Money for Nothing." The rest of it ruins it for me. So I'm gonna go with my favorite full song is "Walk of Life."
Okay.
I just
okay.
I vibe with that. Freaking
Yeah.
That's respectable.
It's a vibe. So that's my favorite, least favorite, and my favorite.
Okay. Steven, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite?
Nice.
I'm gonna say. All right. So first, the easy one. My least favorite is "So Far Away," which I already said at the top of things. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
a masterpiece of mediocrity
So far away
to
of
be
things.
pretentious about it. But yeah, there's just nothing that that stood out about it. Nothing that was like caught my attention. And unfortunately, it was the first song of the album, so I was like, "Oh boy, I got like
You're in for something.
50 more minutes of this." Yeah, but fortunately, it did. I think it got better as it went on. And my favorite, and I really like the pan flute and "Right Across the River," but I'm not sure if it's my favorite. And I really like the saxophone in your latest trick, but I'm not sure if that's my favorite.
And you really like the lyrics of "Brothers in Arms."
Oh
You don't know
yeah,
if that's
God, dang it, man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with. I'll go with your latest trick,
respect.
just because the saxophone really buttered my biscuit. Why did I say that?
So, Jared, that was your least favorite, I'm guessing?
Close. So Steve and I actually, for the first time, are 100% together on both least favorite and favorite.
Nice.
It's interesting though. "Walk of Life" was not supposed to make the album because they recorded it, and Knopfler was like, "This will be a B-side," and then their manager was like, "No, this needs to be on the album," and I'm like, I would have gotten rid of "So Far Away" and kept "Walk of Life."
Yeah.
Well, can't they just put it on the B side of the album?
So, but yeah, "So Far Away." I mean, we already talked a lot about it, but especially for me, the lyrics just get you nowhere. It's like you really get the main point across in the title of the song, and then you know nothing of the story. You just know how he feels, and he keeps repeating it, and it's just if this had started with Money for Nothing, it would have been a better album.
Yeah.
I
I'd
totally agree with that.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So, but then your latest trick, that saxophone, man. And I didn't know this, but the trumpet in the beginning and the saxophone, both of those players are brothers.
Oh yeah.
So the brothers.
Interesting. Brothers in Arms?
Brothers and brass.
Brothers and brass.
Beat you to it, Jared.
Sax isn't
1 second.
brass. Sax isn't brass.
You're not
my-
brass.
Sax is woodwind.
My
Is it really?
favorite.
Yeah.
My
They should
my
change that.
favorite. My
Hey, yeah. What's your favorite?
Dan, what's your fave? And least favorite?
Dan, I'm gonna ask you something.
yeah.
What's your favorite?
Steven, thanks for asking. That's so kind of you.
What's your favorite soup?
Purple's a strong flavor. My favorite's got to be your latest trick. I feel like I could listen to that wonderful woodwind melody just over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It was
pretty good.
most of my favorites come from like gut reaction, like first time listening through, and that was one that I was like, this speaks to me.
Yeah.
And my least favorite was Why Worry. It just went nowhere, and I was not worried. You know.
I liked it for its.
I also was
nostalgic-
wondering why worry. You know, it
Yeah.
gave me nothing.
I love
see
that,
it
like,
quite work.
for three of us, your latest trick is the favorite, and there's, like, the least amount of guitar on that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, like,
Yeah.
guitar farts here and there.
It's funny.
Come on, why do you got to put it like that?
You're going to listen to it now and be like, oh, yeah, he's right.
Well, if you guys want
Goodness.
to check out some of our other favorites from other albums, you can go check it out on our Spotify link in bio.
Yeah, you can.
Or Spotify in our bio link somewhere.
It's somewhere.
Um,
I'm sure you'll find it.
so we'll do the same order. Jason, it's time.
All right.
Where
Oh,
do you
no.
put this
I'm
on your
pulling up.
album
I'm
ranker?
pulling up our
So
album ranker
I'll-
to make
I'll
sure
give
that I
the-
don't say things wrong this
I'll
time.
give a rundown real quick of where everything is. We got Abbey Road 1, Sgt. Pepper's 2, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band 2, Supernatural 3, The Wall 4, Dangerous 5, and ... ellipsis ... Baby One More Time at 6. This is now our 7th album. Jason, where does this end up for you?
I hate myself.
Me
I
too.
hate myself so much. But I can do no other. I cannot lie to the world. Brothers in Arms is just behind Baby One More Time. It's 7th out of
Oh,
7.
man.
Okay.
I love the production. Just as an album, there's a lot of minutes. There's a lot of minutes that didn't need to be there. I just
Yeah.
can't do it.
They just
That's where
like
I'm putting
to
it.
hear their own voice.
Yeah. Steven, what about you?
I'm gonna have to entirely agree with Jason.
Man,
Yeah, I
it's
think
on the bottom of your list as well.
Brittany's definitely.
back.
I would definitely listen to Brittany over this any day.
Wow.
Jarrett, what about you?
Man. I,
Dude, if you put this above the wall, I'm gonna slash your tires. Dude.
that's already been done.
I'm gonna slash the other ones.
You're gonna Lego them.
Here's the thing.
I'm gonna lose my mind. Man.
Concern. I like this better than Baby One More Time, which means it's number 5 for me.
Whoa,
Just above the wall.
that's crazy.
Dude, I am diarrheaing in my pants right now.
Oh
You
my
have
gosh.
no idea.
Okay, well, I put this above Baby One More Time because of your latest trick, and that's like
That's
for me.
respectable.
It's like I could listen to, and maybe judging an album based off of one track is not super fair. I don't care. I don't know if I would go back and listen to any one song of Baby One More Time over and over again, but your latest trick I would.
Hit me, baby,
Yeah.
one more time.
At any point I would. So, man, our new ranking doesn't change much. Abbey Road's still number one.
actually
Sgt.
have a
Pepper's Lonely
tie
Hearts
now.
Club Band is number 2.
Giggity.
Supernatural is number 3. The Wall number 4.
Yeah.
Dangerous number 5. And tied for 6th is Da 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 Baby More Time and Brothers in Arms.
Man.
That's fair.
Incredible.
They're
That's
lucky that
incredible.
they had your latest trick on this album, or else they would be last.
Or if
Yeah.
Jarrett had
Or if Jarrett
got anything.
And there's no changing this.
man.
This is cemented. This is law.
This is set in-
Until
set in
next
stone.
time.
Yeah. Well, remember, sometimes there's really good songs. Sometimes they're too long. Purple is a strong flavor. And find us on all of our socials. Jarrett, what are we doing next?
Yeah, so we decided when we started this podcast, it would be fun if every 7th episode we talked about a favorite album that we have. And so our next one, my gosh. Why are you all holding your chest out?
I was just feeling a little saucy.
Oh,
So
man.
listener, just imagine whatever pose you want the other 3 to be doing right now, and that's what they're doing. And I'm trying to be serious. So the next episode we're going to do is not going to be from the list. It'll be one of our favorites, and it's going to be my favorite because I'm the only one that has one at this particular point in time. And
That's a lie.
it's going to be, well, Steven also had one, but we decided to go with mine.
I have
for
a
now.
few.
And that
I haven't
album is
even
gonna
started
be
looking
Forget-
yet.
The album was going to be Forget and Not Slow Down by Reliant K, which is also my favorite band.
And it's
So-
not anywhere close to the sold list, but is a good album that we will review. So
Yeah.
don't go thinking like, oh yeah, these are just like favorites that are like just off the list. No, these are just
No, they-
our personal favorites.
Yeah.
These
So they
speak
could be-
to us the way that the others don't.
Yeah. The way the wall never did for Jarrett.
Gosh. Oh, that's going to mess up our rankings for a long time.
Yes.
Well, we'll figure it out.
But until next time, Steven, what did you have for us?
I actually have something today.